First topic for today. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Obviously, we know about the Queen Cleopatra documentary. So for those that aren't aware, ladies and gents,
one. Yeah.
Netflix is making a documentary, Queen Cleopatra. Now it's marketed as a documentary, and obviously there's a bit of cultural appropriation going on here, and obviously the Egyptians and the Greeks aren't particularly happy about this, it would seem, because an Egyptian lawyer is suing Netflix, and it's caused such a big stir that now the director, which is Tina Garavi, because this is her piece anyway, has decided to come and speak out and basically go, why can't I put a, direct quote, melanated sister in the role of Cleopatra? Probably the same way we can't have a white Martin Luther King. Probably. Probably the same reason we can't have a white Nelson Mandela. Probably. I would say so. Well, I mean, what do you think, Tom? Because we'll dive into the article because it's absolutely hilarious. But the hypocrisy is ripe here. It's palpable. I can smell it. Tom, quickly.
Yeah, this is just ridiculousness. I mean, I don't know if this individual or group that's suing Netflix will actually go anywhere, but I think it sends a signal and how ignorant and stupid they are to try and, like, I guess let me start it like this. I could give a crap either way, right? Like, I don't care. To me, they want to make a black Cleopatra. Knock yourselves out. The problem that I and most people have with this, and this is what causes pause here, is they're selling it as a documentary. That's the problem.
Yes.
That's the bigger problem here. And I get it. There's been times where people have sold things as documentaries that are still clearly BS. But Cleopatra is not necessarily very unwell known. I mean, most people know who she is. She's very easily searched out. Exactly. Like, yeah, most people know who she is just by name.
Yeah.
And if you want to play this game, fine. If you have some actual evidence that supports this, maybe. But nothing that I've ever seen in my 40 plus years of being on Earth has led me to believe this. To me, I said this before. Basically, it comes off as the equivalent of when you get around a bunch of your buddies and you're stoned, and the one guy pipes up and goes, "Did you know that Jesus was black?" You know, it's like, do you have anything to support that? Or are you just talking out of your stoner ass here? And I mean, not to mention we've got Jada Pinkett Smith's self-insert here as the star of this whole thing on top of it all, because and the production value is horrible from what I saw from the trailer. So all that stuff aside, like, I find it hilarious, the whole thing, to be honest with you.
Well, it is, because I mean, like, I've done a video on it, and so many people are like, I studied this. She was black. There is no evidence. I'm like, it's demonstrably not true, right? I mean, there is evidence. There's coins. There's images. There's statues. There's her lineage. I mean, it's demonstrably not true anyway. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, as you say, you know, I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. The issue comes in when they're like, it's a documentary. And you're like, so then get it a bit right, because idiots will look at this and go, oh, there you go. We was queens and shit, you know? And then it will just perpetuate this nonsense of apparently all of Africa is exactly the same. No, it's not. Egypt might be on the continent of Africa, right? Doesn't mean it's all exactly the same, for goodness sake. It perpetuates such a high level of ignorance. It's beyond belief. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, Greek Macedonian, we know it. Like, it is something which is well affirmed. We know it.
Well,
but yes,
we all know a few white African Americans, Elon Musk and Charlize Theron, just to name a couple.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. But again, so this director has come out and done this piece with Variety. And we'll set the scene, because it's just narcissism through and through, right? This is her writing this, and again, it's narcissism, and it says a lot as to why this piece alone speaks as to why she chose a black person to play Cleopatra. So she goes, last summer, I was living in Venice Beach and had decided, due to a friend's persistence, to visit a fortune teller. Me, ever the skeptic, but game for a laugh, agreed to go along. What the fortune teller said made me roll my eyes. I'm not saying you are Cleopatra, but somehow you share her story and are connected. That's the opener to the exclusive.
Yeah, isn't
variety.
that funny how whenever you go see any kind of palm reader, you're never connected to, or you were never anybody who was just some peasant in a former life. You ever notice that? You're always some king. You're always Cleopatra. You're always Elvis. You're always somebody famous.
Narcissism. She was less than a month later, I got a call from a production company making Jada Pinkett Smith's African Queens, and was subsequently hired to direct 4 episodes of a drama documentary on the life of the controversial leader. The joke was on me. Apparently it's on everyone because we have to, this shit's around. I remember as a kid seeing Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra. I was captivated, but even then, I felt the image was not right. Was her skin really that white? With this new production, could I find the answers about Cleopatra's heritage and release her from the stranglehold that Hollywood had placed on her image? Well, you're being sued by Egyptians, mate, not Hollywood. So it looks like the Egyptians firmly believe her image was that, of a more Mediterranean approach. Again, just the narcissism. Born in Iran, I am Persian. And Cleopatra's heritage has been attributed at one time or another to the Greeks, the Macedonians, and the Persians. The known facts are that her Macedonian Greek family, the Ptolemaic lineage, intermarried with West Asians, Seleucid dynasty, and had been in Egypt for 300 years. Cleopatra was 8 generations away from these ancestors, making the chance of her being white somewhat unlikely. Ancient Egyptians weren't black anyway, so what are you talking about? After 300 years, surely we can safely say Cleopatra was Egyptian. She was no more Greek or Macedonian than Rita Wilson or Jennifer Aniston. Both are 1 generation from Greece. Doing the research, I realised what a political act it would be to see Cleopatra portrayed by a black actress. Politics. Literally doing politics. For me, the idea that people had gotten it so incredibly wrong before, historically, from Theda Bara to Monica Bellucci, and recently with Angelina Jolie and Gal Gadot in the running to play her, meant we had to get it even more right. The hunt was on to find the right performer to bring Cleopatra into the 21st century. Look at this fucking
I mean, I will give her this. Yes, chances are, was Cleopatra that white? No, not likely. But she probably had more olive-colored skin, like
Mediterranean.
Gal Gadot. Like, that's probably the best casting for the part right there. Like, and if you even go and look in historically, what we've seen depictions of her, she's not really that good looking of a woman. The deal is if you read up on her, if you read up on her, the thing is they said she had very striking eyes. That's probably why they cast Elizabeth Taylor originally, aside from the fact that Elizabeth Taylor just kind of captured the essence of what Cleopatra was at the time. And the other side of it is what we heard is that she was always just really good at politics and using her womanly ways to get what she wanted until it didn't work out for her no more. Right? So right there, that's really all that matters. Elizabeth Taylor captured the essence of who Cleopatra is. Were they the exact same color skin? No. But casting some black woman as Cleopatra is way even farther off of the mark, if you ask me. Like I said, somebody like Gal would be more in line, if, in my opinion, from what I know of history.
Well, it's the fact she even says it's political. Like, you're doing it for politics. That's just your narcissistic politic dipshit. And she says further, why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? Direct quote. And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value. And for some Egyptians, it seems to really matter.
Well, why do you need to make her black?
It's fucking cultural appropriation. The Egyptians say this is our culture. She wasn't black, and you're like, fuck it, who cares? It is cultural appropriation. Why do you need Martin Luther King to be black? Why do you need a make-believe character, Black Panther, to be black? Why?
That's what I was just
Yeah.
asking. Why is it such a big deal for you to portray it this way? Exactly. Like, I mean, I guess we couldn't even probably be arguing about this if it was like a mixed
Mm.
actress or something like that too, for that matter, really.
Yeah.
It's just the fact, and again, the fact that they're portraying it as a document, because I laughed at like the Woman King stuff more so, because like I even stuck
Mm.
up for a little bit. I'm like, who really cares at the end of the day? It's a movie, right? We
Yeah.
know they're taking some artistic license here. Everybody
It's the
knows.
fact that they were doing the interviews going, yeah, this is what this
Right.
is really happened. You're like, whoa, bitch. No, it didn't. Fucking calm down.
Yeah, that was the difference there. And the other side of it was, the director and what's her face coming out and saying, well, if you don't go see this, they're never going to make a movie with a strong black actress again. And I said,
Oh God, I
you may
hate her
laugh
so
at that,
much.
and she's semi wrong, but she's also right, but she's only right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because yes, if they keep making movies like this starring black women,
Yeah.
yes, nobody will go see them. Like, that's the difference, right? So yeah. But no, like, this whole thing to me, I think, is silly. I doubt that the lawsuit's going to go anywhere, but it'd be funny if it
No.
did.
Well, I just think, yeah, I mean, I doubt it's going to go anywhere, but I like the pushback. Because the thing is, what you need to be aware of is that, Americans view race as white and black. That's literally all it is to them. They view culture as white and black. That's all it is and I'm not saying Americans in general, right? That's not what I'm saying, ladies. Just you guys watching this that are American, I'm clearly not tarring you with that brush. Obviously, you're not a moron. I'm talking about the average moronic American that has been indoctrinated into this retarded culture crap. They go, oh, race is just black and white. No, it's not. Oh, culture is just black and white. No, it's not. Like, it's very, very different. It's a little bit more diverse than that. And you can't just sit there and go, well, we're just going to change it. Like, yeah, well, you've got a whole country that is now going to claim cultural appropriation, and you're pissing them off, and you can't. It's just so blatant hypocrisy from these idiots. And then it gets further as well. It's so funny. By the way, I've just had a message from Nick. Nick will be in the podcast. He will be joining us. So it says this: as production got nearer, I realized the magnitude and political nature of this job. It was important to get things right, but also to find a way of telling the story with humanism and nuance. The last thing we needed was another Cleopatra divorced from her womanhood and her power only sexualized. The HBO series Rome portrayed one of the most intelligent, sophisticated, and powerful women in the world as a sleazily dissipated drug addict. Yet Egypt didn't seem to mind. Where was the outrage then? But portraying her as black, well. So you can dictate what an entire country can be outraged about now? Really? Come on. There's some hypocrisy going on here, guys. There must be. God, it gets better. Perhaps it's not just that I've directed a series that portrays Cleopatra as black, but that I've asked Egyptians to see themselves as Africans, and they're furious at me for that. I'm okay with this. But Egyptians...
That's her trying to project that's the equivalent of her saying y'all are just racist because you don't want to see this.
Yeah, well, you're all racist because you don't think you're Africans. They're not. They're Egyptians. Africa's a continent, right? So cultures and countries within Africa are very different. Even the black African countries within Africa are very, very different culturally. These people are so incredibly stupid. So incredibly stupid. While I was shooting, I became the target of a huge online hate campaign. Egyptians accused me of blackwashing and stealing their history. Because you literally have. Some threatened to ruin my career, which I wanted to tell them was laughable. I was ruining it very well for myself, thank you very much. Yes, you are. No amount of reasoning or reminders that Arab invasions had not yet happened in Cleopatra's age seemed to stem the tide of ridiculous comments. Amir in his bedroom in Cairo wrote to me to earnestly appeal that Cleopatra was Greek. Oh, Lord, why would that be a good thing to you, Amir? You're Egyptian. How dare you dictate to Amir in Cairo in his bedroom what culture he can hold dear to himself? Anyway, it gets better. So was Cleopatra black? We don't know for sure, but we can be certain she wasn't white like Elizabeth Taylor. No, everyone says she's Mediterranean looking. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about our colorism. Yes, you certainly do. And the internalized white supremacy that Hollywood has indoctrinated us with. So Amir in Cairo has been indoctrinated by Hollywood's white supremacy? No. Most of all, we need to realize that Cleopatra's story is less about her than it is about who we are.
Wait, what?
Fucking honestly.
Who the fuck you think she is? Jesus? Sorry, pardon my French, but Jesus,
no.
like what?
I don't know. Just, I don't know. What do you say to this? Like, what can you actually say to this? Rampant hypocrisy dictated what a country can hold dear culturally to itself. Telling a country that they're internalized white supremacy from Hollywood, and then rounding out going, look, well, we don't actually know if she was black, but what it is actually it's not about Cleopatra, it's about who we are instead. Fuck off, you absolute moron. Just honestly. Oh my God. What thoughts?
I wish I had one on that one, but to me, that's like saying, you know, we're going to do a biopic about Nixon, but it's really going to be about the fall of America, I guess, or about us, like looking at it doesn't make any sense. It's like if you're doing a documentary or a biopic about somebody, clearly it's about that person. And it should be about said person. I don't I don't get it. I'm trying to rack my brain around it right now. Like, yeah.
There's literally images of them, for goodness sake. There are images of these people. It's not like just pulling out their ass. There were literally images of these people. Statues, hieroglyphs, whatever, right? Coins, whatever you want to. There was plenty of it. It was all there. We've seen. But, you know, we was queens and shit, I guess. God, fucking.
Yeah, it's not exactly undocumented history. And here's the other thing that I got to say, and this is, you know, at a risk of sounding like it coming off in racist in any way, but it's, trust me, it's not. It doesn't make any sense to me that all these people are trying to claim that, oh, so-and-so was this color and so-and-so was that color. And it's all just being covered up by some white conspiracy. It's like, well, if that was the case, then how would it ever be covered up if those people of power were said whatever? Yeah. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess. I don't get it.
I mean, like, what it comes down to is the sort of, as best as I could call it. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, you put it here.
Yeah.
I mean, look, she's pretty ugly, but she's not black. All right, no, it's a big difference. What it comes down to, anyway, what it comes down to primarily is just the fact that the Black American experience is such now that you've sort of been forced into a position where you have to sort of grab things to feel like you've got a culture, as opposed to just knowing that you're African American and that's your culture. You're a Black American. That's your culture. That is your culture. There's no point. Stealing other people's culture doesn't do it. And if you do want to do it, you know, you do want to sort of lord over some African queens. There probably were African queens, for goodness sake. You don't need to take Egypt's Queen Cleopatra. Like, that's what? Just because it's in Africa or on the continent of Africa, it's not in Africa. They're two separate things. Culturally, they're completely different. It's just bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Well, it's stupidity is what it comes down to. It's
ignorance.
Absolute rampant stupid. Yeah, absolutely. But that ignorance will just perpetuate itself, because this being marketed as a documentary, idiots will watch that and go, yeah, man, we was queens and shit. No, you weren't. But that's true.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well,
anyway.
Yeah.